After attaining his high school diploma, he pursued studies in Tübingen, where he met Sigrid Oldenburg, a medical student who later became his wife. The story, of course, starts with a very standard normal love for a man and his young girlfriend, Sigrid Gertrude Oldenburg Hamer. In the book Mein Studentenmädchen, only available in German and French, he relays his love story with Sigrid, for whom the song was written 5 years before GH was discovered. This song is the second pillar of Germanische Heilkunde, and I also have a talk about this archaic melody. Do stay tuned for it, because it will play an important role in Dr. Hamer's vision and legacy. In 1985, after 29 years of marriage and raising four children, Sigrid Hamer passed away. She had struggled to overcome the grief from their son's death and the ongoing harassment by the Savoy family. Ryke and Sigrid got married in 1957 in their early 20s, barely finishing school, but so wrapped in their love for each other. The song Mein Studentenmädchen talks about the first time he met his love and their first kiss near a chapel. The young couple experienced difficulties having married so young while finishing their studies. No money, no support from their parents. They only had their love for each other to help them ride the difficulties. Dr. Hamer writes about his conflict shock in the book, and that was when Sigrid announced she might be pregnant. That is the beginning of Mein Studentenmädchen, the magical archaic melody that is saving millions of lives. Dr. Hamer writes about being in conflict active phase with territorial fear that gave him the sharpest senses to finish his studies in record time, while Sigrid taking exams with small children in tow and being pregnant, overcoming her colleagues, teachers, and her own mother, sneering at starting a family too early. Dr. Hamer and Sigrid had four children: Birgit, Dirk, Gunhild, and Bernd. They were born between 1957 and 1963, with Bernd being an anniversary gift, born on the same day of their wedding anniversary. They had come at a time when the young couple didn't have money and were desperate for help. But thank goodness for conflict active phases, they were able to muster the energy to go through the difficulties posed by life, juggling parenthood with studies, work, and finding money to support the young family. Looking at these photos, you would see nothing but happiness and love and none of the difficulties they surely experienced as young parents. Indeed, nature endows young parents with the hormones and energy needed to bring and rear offspring into the world, even under the most difficult circumstances. Through Dr. Hamer's earnings from his patented inventions, they earned enough money to move to Italy so Dr. Hamer could establish a practice giving free care to the slums in Rome. And it is in Italy that the beginnings of GH can be traced back to the tragic August 18, 1978 accidental shooting of 19-year-old German teenager Dirk Hamer on the French island of Cavallo. The incident involved Vittorio Emanuele di Savoy, the last heir to the Italian throne, who was accused of firing the fatal shot. This was the catalyst that brings us to the discovery of Germanische Heilkunde as a tragic story unfolds, leading to Dr. Hamer and Sigrid's conflicts. Dirk's older sister Birgit spearheaded the fight against the Savoy family and became the mouthpiece of the Hamer family in this terrible 13-year battle. The King Who Never Was is a gripping Netflix docuseries that revisits the 1978 shooting of Dirk Hamer, allegedly by Italian Prince Vittorio Emanuele di Savoy. The series explores decades of legal battles, covering both the Hamer family's pursuit of justice and the Savoy family's efforts to clear the prince's name. In 1999, he was acquitted of manslaughter by a court in Paris at the end of a 13-year legal battle. Through interviews, archival footage, and conflicting witness testimonies, the story delves into power, privilege, and how royal influence affected the outcome. It raises important questions about justice and accountability in high-profile cases. blending royal drama with a tragic true crime mystery. The prince died in February in Geneva, the Savoy royal house said in a statement. He had lived in Switzerland since the family were exiled from Italy when he was 9 years old. Dr. Hamer was diagnosed with testicular cancer a few months after Dirk's death. While working as a head internist at a cancer clinic at the University of Munich, Dr. Hamer began investigating his cancer patients' backgrounds. He noticed a striking pattern. All of them, like himself, had undergone an unexpected, intensely felt emotional shock. Building on this observation, Dr. Hamer expanded his research by focusing on the brain's role in bodily processes. To honor Dirk, he called the conflict shock DHS or Dirk Hamer Syndrome. In the early 80s, CT scanning was rapidly becoming a staple in modern hospitals. Being a head internist in the oncology ward, Dr. Hamer had access to these scans and began studying CTs of his cancer patients. And he noticed that his patients and himself shared a ring like structure appearance on the same area of the brain. This is what we call the Hamersche herd or Hamer focus. GH wouldn't have been discovered without this modern technology. It would never have been possible to discover the cerebral process of disease. CT stands for computerized tomography. It's a type of X ray machine that became widely used in hospitals in the late 20th century. Unlike regular X rays, CT scanners use multiple X ray beams at different angles to create detailed images of the body. Detectors inside the machine capture how the beams pass through, and a computer processes the data to produce internal images that are displayed on a screen. He analyzed patients' brain scans alongside their medical records and personal histories. To his surprise, he discovered a clear link between specific conflict shocks, the way these shocks impacted the brain, and how they manifested as symptoms in different organs. And this link showed up with a Hamer focus appearing on areas of the brain mapped to the organ. This approach was groundbreaking as no prior research had explored the brain as the key mediator between emotional trauma and physical illness. This is something that we will get into later. In 1981, Dr. Hamer thought that these connections applied only to cancer, and he had no idea that the iron rule of cancer would become the central discovery for all of medicine. He submitted his discovery to the University in Tübingen in October 1981 as a postdoctoral thesis for qualification as a university lecturer. It is because of quotes like these that Dr. Hamer became subject to all sorts of rejection and incarceration by the medical and state authorities. The university rejected Dr. Hamer's work and refused to evaluate his thesis, which was unbelievable because universities and clinics should be interested in such a discovery. Dr. Hamer had already opened several clinics pre-GH in many countries, but here he was prevented by authorities to open more using GH. In 1986, the District of Koblenz initiated action to stop him from practicing medicine. Too many conflicts were abound, losing his license, the death of Dirk, the death of his wife. He was imprisoned by French authorities due to being responsible for the deaths of patients that he had never really met in person. He was exiled to Norway, where he thought he would be safe to continue his work, but the Ministry of Justice never gave him the consideration he was looking for. He founded Sandefjord University, where he added the 5 biological laws of nature to his work. To continue his legacy, he appointed 3 lecturers, Helmut Pilhar, Giovanna Conti, and Andre Six, who is in her late 70s and caring for her aging mother in France. Giovanna is one of our teachers in Pilhar Academy and very active. She is responsible for the discovery of the archaic melody in Dr. Hamer's song Mein Studentenmenschen, written in 1976, 5 years before GH was discovered. Helmut Pilhar and Dr. Hamer fought alongside each other following his case with his daughter Olivia. He was given the ultimatum to deny his findings or his contract will not be renewed. He retreated to a private practice to continue the research with his wife. Helmut Pilhar needs to be announced as he is the appointed lecturer heir of Dr. Hamer. And he spent decades spreading the work through live workshops. He also collated many case studies and included them in the material we are studying today. Our academy is named after him, Pilhar Academy. Before GH, Helmut Pilhar studied electrical engineering and mechanical engineering and was also a software technician. He met Dr. Hamer when he was going through the infamous case of Olivia, a 7-year-old child and diagnosed with cancer, and he has been studying GH since 1995. Olivia suffered a starvation conflict or liver cancer when her mother went back to work and she refused to eat her grandmother's food. She was also diagnosed with kidney cancer. Olivia is now 35 or likely older, married with 2 kids. The family ran from authorities after they refused to give Olivia more chemotherapy, but they were insisting on it, otherwise, they would be arrested and jailed, even claiming custody over their own daughter. They finally regained custody over her after many court battles in 2002. In 2010, Dr. Hamer appointed him a university lecturer, and his material is what we are studying today. Helmut Pilhar teaches GH in its purest form. There is no mix of allopathy, homeopathy, naturopathy, or any outside modalities like hypnosis, EFT, psyche, and we appreciate that this is so. We are all free to do whatever we need with GH as our framework for health. Sadly, Helmut Pilhar passed away from a stroke on August 31st, 2022. And we honor him for his amazing legacy, keeping Dr. Hamer's freedom flame alive. I discovered GH because I came across Carolyn Marcolin's breast cancer video, which had me riveted, and I listened about bacteria and fungi being friendly and part of the healing phase. When I heard that they just wait for the brain's command to deploy, it all made sense. They're intelligent. I devoured everything that she was teaching. At that time, there weren't a lot of academies, and I found Andy Locke's program, which was perfect. I had to take on real life cases and chose a friend who was suffering from lupus nephritis for 10 or more years, having undergone chemo, juicing, and all sorts of alternative therapies to no avail. GH and biohacking really helped her clinch this program. I'm currently enrolled in the GH Educator course in the official academy under Helmut Pilhar, who is the appointed lecturer of Dr. Hamer. Giovanna Conti is also part of the faculty. I have created ties with other GH communities in Canada, Australia, Europe, and the United States. I waited for 3 years before teaching this to gain implicit knowledge from using GH with clients and my own psyche brain organ experience to make sure I am not just parroting GH theories and lessons. I moderate for the Asian Freya Biology of Love cohorts under our mentor in Europe. I am part of faculty for Global GHK in India and a member of US GHK Global since 2022. I have had breakthrough success stories in special needs kids using GH and biohacking. I live, eat, breathe biologically, seamless integration of biohacking and the biological laws of nature, autopoiesis, bioregenesis, and negentropy. They are a great, great match.